Hello, my name is Austin. Today I'm going to share some experiences that I had when I was transitioning into college, and I just kind of want to share these kind of pitfalls that occurred and how they could be rectified, especially because of my experiences now working in a disability office and just also being a little bit wiser about the law and about how things kind of work. So like one of the things that I encountered was being told by my college that when I was an undergrad, you can't do honors classes because the honors classes, are only for do not allow. I was told you can't do honors classes because those honors classes do not permit students with disabilities who are registered with the disability office. Now, this information was totally wrong. And later I was apologized to, and I met with the head of the honors classes for the college, and they told me, we're so sorry, and this information was wrong. And this information was wrong because the ADA does not allow colleges and universities to discriminate against students and prevent them from joining a certain program or activity or something like that. So my advice to you is to really understand that when it comes to the legal footing, if you're ever told that you can't participate in a certain program or an activity, to really be comfortable challenging that, because the law is on your side. The ADA is there to ensure inclusion and that people aren't discriminated against. So I would really recommend in most situations, the student would be able, from what I can see, really almost all situations, the student should be able to participate, and the college should find a way to foster inclusivity. So definitely keep that in mind as one suggestion there. Another thing that kind of happened to me was I had, a class that I was trying to get into, and the professor tried to tell me, this class, is full or whatever. I had chosen the wrong class, and I wanted to switch to this other class, and my advisor was trying to help me, and the professor was like, oh, it's full. And it turned out it wasn't full. In fact, there was, it was slightly, there was room. And the professor was trying to not have me join the class, I think in part because of my disability. The professor really did not like students typing in their class. And I typed for all my classes. And basically, because of some of these differences, what ended up occurring is I told the disability office about it, and they advocated on my behalf and made sure I was able to get into the class. And the professor's objections were overruled and shut down. And again, that's something of having that wherewithal to go to the disability office and let them know. Because a lot of times, if the professor tells you something, you respect authority, you're like, oh, that's it. I can't challenge it further. That's not always the case. You can go to the disability office, and if it's a situation where, it seems like there's some discrimination or something is not being dealt with properly, they can go to bat on your behalf. So definitely let them know, because they can help in a lot of those types of situations. I think another aspect that I want to kind of cover is just a general thing, which is that sometimes when you disclose having a disability, I have mild cerebral palsy, and I would talk about that, professors would get a little bit too comfortable, talking about the issue. And, they would either start talking about it, a lot about it in front of the other classmates, or I had some professors, making comments or asking medical questions like, do you take seizure medication, things like that, in front of the class. And those things are, obviously very awkward and not helpful. So I think that one of the things to really keep in mind with, disclosure is to really emphasize, your confidentiality when you're disclosing it in an office hour or private setting, but also to just let the professor know if they start to say something that you feel is kind of inappropriate. my older self now would be much more comfortable, saying, I think this is a little bit, this is making me feel uncomfortable. Please don't keep saying this. When I was younger, I was more likely to be silent in those situations. So I think that's something that's important to keep in mind as well. I had one specific instance with a disability office. I was taking some transfer classes and, over the summer at community college, and the professor wrote down on the form that the test was open book. And I knew the test was not supposed to be open book. And I told the proctor for the exams I was taking in the disability office, this is not supposed to be open book. And they tried to contact the professor. They couldn't contact him. They said, just take it open book and you'll tell them and then we can go back and fix it or whatever. So I told the professor, and the professor's like, you cheated. You forged my signature. And we went down and, he's completely accusing me. He thinks he's got me busted. And then we go down to the disability office, and sure enough, on the paperwork, he had checked the wrong box and it was his signature and everything. And he had apologized to me. But I think, again, it just shows the need for professors not to overreact sometimes when it comes to the cheating accusation. I found in my own experiences just working in a disability office proctoring exams, sometimes, students forget, it's an innocent thing when it comes to like a phone or something like that. They think they don't have it on them and they do. But in other, instances when it comes to checking for the test, there's a lot of times where the professor has just made changes to the test or something like that. It can be unclear exactly how it's supposed to be proctored. So it's more of a recommendation for professors, but I really think, not always jumping right to a negative thing. Sometimes there can just be miscommunications between departments or errors and such like that. The last thing I thought I would share from my personal experience, just what a great time I had studying abroad. And the study abroad that I did was through my college or university. And I really recommend that, if you have the opportunity to study abroad, try and do something that's through your college or university, because generally there's more accommodation aspects that are available. If you're going completely, through a different college or a different, you're joining some other program, it can be sometimes harder to transfer accommodations internationally because not all countries have accommodation laws the same as the US. So I really recommend if there's a specific program that goes through your college or university to definitely look at that. And for me personally, I have mild cerebral palsy, so I get lost very easy. So I don't remember, I have like face blindness, so I don't remember faces very well. I don't remember places very well. So I was actually able to get accommodation where I was given a phone with GPS, and that really was life-saving. Basically, it let me go through the entire study abroad seamlessly because I could know exactly how to get back to my house. I knew, where the school I was going to was and everything. So it was a really great experience, and the accommodations made that possible. So I think that, definitely talking to disability office and the study abroad department about accommodations early is always helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.